Good morning, welcome back. For those of you who are following along in my lifestyle series on diet, I'm just doing a very quick session this morning on diet. I said on my last diet video that I weighed myself and I was 109 kilos, right? And that was Thursday night. Now on Friday, it's my YouTube day. But I didn't do a lot more other than sit here and do a lot of video editing and oh God, lining these videos up when I'm doing separate sound and trying to show that screen capture, it's a nightmare. And everything's kind of out of sync but good enough for what I want. And so if you've been following along and you notice my lips are moving, nothing's coming out their speakers, that's because there's I'm recording sound separately from the video feed. And there's a job to kind of get them in, and I can get them pretty close, but I can't seem to get them exact. And that's because I'm cobbling this stuff together for free. So I'm going to find a solution to that somewhere. I don't know what that is yet. That might be using the actual tools on YouTube, but I'm not sure whether my internet connection is strong enough to handle that yet. So that's something I might test out. Right, so today we're talking about lifestyle again. And great news, fantastic news. Right? There's me coffee, all that, still hot. Now let me talk to you about me coffee real quick. I made that, I actually was freezing cold. It got down to like 3 or 4 degrees Celsius here. It got freezing last night here for us. 3 or 4 degrees Celsius, mate, forget it. I was frozen, so I was so cold last night, I just didn't bother staying up. I called it at about 9 o'clock last night. I was trying to do video stuff, but I called it at 9 o'clock. I was too cold, and Mrs. Wiley followed me in. She's crook, I'm crook. We both got this cold. Now, I'm on the way out of it. You can tell I actually feel a lot better this morning, but I still feel a bit crook. But the commitment I made was that I'm doing a bushwalk today. Well, it turns out that I'm not going to do a bushwalk, but I am going to do a walk. I need to go see my motorbike guy, right? And he lives about 5 kilometres from here. And instead of riding Zoomy up to see him, I'm actually going to walk up, because what I did was I asked him a couple of weeks back whether he had time to service Zoomy for me. And the problem is I haven't got any cash to give him to do the job. And he said, oh, you can just fix me up. I said, no, I'll get the cash. It's not that. I'll just park Zoomy up and maybe I can do some of the work myself. Well, I've decided I'm going to do the brakes myself, okay? So I can do brakes. I've done them on cars, and I figure I can do them on the motorbike. It's a bit of a different job, and I'll probably need a bit of advice from him. And he's a good bloke. I've always taken the bike there, and I've always given him the money for the work he's done. I've paid him cash every time. And he knows that I'm doing it tough, right? Anyway, this is kind of about Zoomy too, but I want to talk about the walk. The walk is going to be 5 kilometres there and 5, so it's a 10-kilometre walk. That'll do, right? So there's a few decent hills in there. Let me think. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 hills. There's 5 hills, and 2 of them are like that, right? Where the road actually sort of curves around up the hill like that. And I've got the footpath goes almost the same as the road, but not quite, and it's pretty steep. It's about probably about a 35-degree incline for us as pedestrians. It's only like it's an 18-degree incline for the cars, but it's about a 30-odd-degree incline for pedestrians. So I didn't care about you had to walk a steep hill. I just cared about the cars going up, the incline. So there's 2 of them like that. And of course you've got to walk up and you've got to walk down. So there's 2 hills like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk up and talk to Brad, and then I'm going to walk home. Now, really good news. I made this coffee, and then I decided I was freezing, and I put the coffee down and went and had a quick hot shower to warm up, forgetting that I'd made the coffee. And then, of course, I was buggerising around getting myself changed so I could do my walk and whatnot. And I'm 15 minutes back in. Do you know what? That is still hot. Hey, me 35 cent or 30 cent. It's 30 cent coffee. This is me 30 cent coffee. I'm allowed 2 of these a day. Now, even better news. Even better news. I told you I didn't do very much, but it turns out I did, because I did quite a few trips up and down the stairs during the day. I went down for the mail, and then I actually walked around the block, and then I came back from that, and I walked up the stairs again. Then I walked down, I had to take rubbish, I walked back, and then I had to go down and talk to Koira, so I went down and talked to her, came back up, and then I had to talk to the Kiwi guy over the back, so I walked down, talked to him, came back up, you know. And when I worked it out, I probably did about 15 trips up and down the stairs during the day, because I did quite a few. I went down to Zoomy, I had to check a part number on him and come back up. I had to go down and check something at the car, came back up. I had to go get a tool out of the toolbox downstairs, because I got a little lock up downstairs. I had to open all that up and get my tool, come back up, you know. All of these little trips up and down the stairs and all my little walking around the block and whatever. And yeah. So I jumped on the scale this morning, and believe me, I was crook. It was cold. I didn't feel like doing anything, but I committed. I'm doing this shit, right? And I jumped on the scale. 108 kilograms. I've dropped another kilogram. I'm like, what the? Now, what it is, I've been crook. And so I haven't felt like eating as much, you know, but I've still been eating a regular. I eat a breakfast, I eat a lunch, and I eat my tea. No matter what, you gotta be in that discipline. You eat breakfast, you eat lunch, and you eat tea. Now, breakfast was a cereal with a bit of yogurt and skim milk and a cup of coffee. That was breakfast. Now, this morning it was an eggs. You know, you can have eggs on toast. I did poached eggs. So I had poached eggs on toast with a lean slice of ham with that and some mushrooms. That was breakfast. And Mrs. Leone, bless her soul, she got up and she started the eggs and she said, come on, beautiful. And I'm like, oh, you love me again. She says, no, I hate you for giving me this flu. And she's really miserable. But she cooked up the eggs to start. And once she had the eggs going, I thought, oh, I'll get some. But she said, I haven't got time. I've got to get out the door. And she ate her eggs and she left, right? And I was left. And now all the washing up's over there. So before I go out the door, I'm going to do the washing up. That's the first thing that's got to get done. And then I'm going to walk up and see Brad. And I'm going to just explain to him that I still can't afford to pay him to do the service, but I really need to get these brakes looked at. Now, he'll say, just bring it in and I'll do it for you and you can just sort me out. And I says, no, I'm not doing that. What I'll do is I'll pay for the parts and then I'll have a crack at it myself. Now, he'll tell me the tips and tricks that he knows. He'll tell me because, you know, we've got that kind of relationship. And there'll be a tip to making sure you haven't got an air bubble in things, checking the master cylinder. Because when he does it, he pulls everything down. He checks the master cylinder, he checks the slave cylinder. He doesn't just bloody change pads, and I'm going to change the pads and rotor. So I'm going to get a new rotor for the front wheel because I know that rotor has never been replaced in the history of Zoomy. That's 20 years old, and you know it's still smooth because I know Brad machined it for me. You know he put it on his little grinder that he's got, the flat wheel grinder, and he machined it back and got it nice and smooth. But before he got it, it was all pitted and it looked like crap, you know. But I'm pretty sure it's thin now, and you know, I think I prefer something with a bit more, you know. So, like, if it cost me $100 to do this, that's fine. I've got that put away for Zoomy. I put away $10 a week for Zoomy. That's what I do. Every week I put $10 in my little sneaky account, and when I have to get Zoomy serviced, it comes out of the sneaky account. But I haven't got enough to do a full service. It'll cost me about $200, you know, if Brad does it. But if I can just buy the parts and I can get out of it for around $100, you know, and that's the way I'm thinking. Anyway, with my lifestyle, I've got to do a walk anyway. So I'm going to walk up and I'm going to spend 10 minutes with him and have a chat to him and see if there's any electrical stuff he needs me to sort out, because I'm sitting here doing these ones during the week, you know, twiddling my thumbs. If he's got some circuit boards he wants sorted or diagnosed, I can do that. So, like if he's got a dash that's collapsed, I can diagnose dash now. I know how to diagnose the dash, hey? And I can fix them. I can get them going. And I can refurbish them with new parts. I can replace old bulbs with new LEDs. I can do that. And I'm doing that on Zoomy. That's Project Zoomy. So if you want to find out about all that stuff, I've set up Project Zoomy, and that'll be a series that's coming up. All right, beautiful hot coffee. Look, it's still hot. That's 20 minutes in. That cup is still hot. This is what happens when you heat the cup before you put anything in it, right? Everything stays hot. It's good. Beautiful. Okay, so I just wanted to say that I've made it down to 108 kilograms. I've lost 2 kilograms off the 110. And now I've been crook, and I admit that that's kind of cheating. But I really haven't felt like eating. But I've forced myself to have the feeds, right? And I haven't been snacking out. I haven't been doing it wrong. And I've been keeping to the 2 cups of coffee a day. You know, once I've done the coffee, I've been drinking black tea. And black tea, actually, when you've got a cold, black tea is good for you. Green tea is great. And if you can put a bit of lemon and honey in it, we'll do that. Just to squeeze a lemon and a half a teaspoon of honey. And I always have honey. You know, honey, I know it's got sugar, but I think it's a necessary one. I think if you've cut all the sugar out and you just have like a teaspoon of honey a day, you'll feel so much better for it, you know. And I honestly believe that. And I honestly believe too that being stung by bees, if I'd been working the bees, I wouldn't have picked this up, right? Getting the odd bee sting is good for you. I honestly believe that the bee sting and the bee venom floating around in my system saved me from that. There you go. I'm going to put it out there. I think bee venom's great stuff. And I can tell you a story about when I wrenched my shoulder. I wrenched my shoulder out of its socket. I hyperextended from my fingers. I was lifting a two-door fridge. I don't know if you've ever had one of those big, gigantic two-door fridges. I was lifting one of those. I had freezer one side and the fridge this side. And I sold it to a bloke. We got it to his place, and we're getting it off the back of the ute. Now, when we loaded it on the ute, it was my mate's ute. You know, and there were like 5 or 6 blokes there, and we were able to just easily shove it up there and get it sorted. And I said, well, was there anyone at your place? And he said, yeah, well, my sons will be there, and there'll be a couple other blokes around, and we can get it off. It was him and I. It was him and me. And he was on the back of the ute, you know, and I said, no, you need to jump down here with me on the side. And I got behind and took the weight of it, and I said, you got it? He said, yep. I said, you sure you got it? Yep. So I took this thing to the ground. He had none of it. I had the whole freaking lot. And I wrenched I did my neck muscles, I did my shoulder, I did the lot. And I took it all the way to the ground. And when I stood up, I just near damn fainted. You know, it's just spots before the ice. I'm a strong bloke. I can lift like 160, 170 kilos deadlift. I can do that. I've been doing it with beehives and whatever. But, you know, when you do that one, you're off balance and you're not behind you haven't got the load distributed through your body. It's all coming through this, right? And I wrenched it, and I knew straight away I was in trouble. So I just freaking left him with it. I just said, there's your fridge, fuck off. And I got in the ute and drove off, left him there on the side of the road with his fridge. Because he didn't take any weight of that fridge. I took the lot. And I hurt myself. I hurt myself bad. Now, I went through physio and I went through all this thing. I went to this physio guy and I couldn't lift my arm beyond there, right? And what he did was he put it in a rubber thing. He had this rubber sling, you know, it was like an old tyre inner tube, a bicycle tyre inner tube, which was on a nail up, or a hook or something up there on his wall. And he said, what I want you to do is just put your arm in that, and I just want you to lean back to where you can stand it. And I literally got my arm in there, and I was nearly passing out. I had that much pain coming through me. He said, can you lean back a bit more? And he's putting his hand on me, and it's like, oh my, you know, like the pain was just unbelievable through my arm all the way, because I tore everything, all the tendons, everything, the nerves, everything got torn all the way up, right up into my neck. It was just the whole muscle group got involved in it. Anyway, I passed out. I was, you know, he was twanging on my shoulder and he was doing these ones. Come on, let's just do a little bit more, you know, a little bit. And I was fair dinkum, you know, passing out on the bloody. I was nearly falling on the floor, passing out. And if I passed out, I would have passed out because I would have been hanging there by the arm. And I tell you what, I was just like, no, mate, you're out of here, you know, no. And I gave him the flick. I got home that night, and 2 weeks later, I was still in an enormous pain, you know. I gave him the flick. I told him to take a hike. And then what I did the following weekend, I was in pain anyway. I said, screw it, I'm going out on the bees. And what I did, and I don't recommend you do this, but this is what I did, right? I took my bee suit off. I took my bee suit completely off. And I walked up to a beehive and I shoved my hand in. And the bees come out and they stung. They stung the forearm. They stung all the way up here. I must have had about 200 stings on me. And they stung right up through my ear, right up here. Oh, and I gave them that side, you know, to sting. And I wanted them to sting it. Do you know what? Everything sort of come up from the stings, you know, and I had stings everywhere. And I had to get out of there because, like, I was a bloody sting magnet. And once you get stung, I don't know if you know this, the bees release a pheromone. And it makes more bees come in and sting, right? So once you get one sting, you're going to get a bunch. You know, if there's a bunch of bees, yeah, you're going to get a bunch. And I knew I was going to get, you know, and I had to get out of there. I had to jump back in the ute and piss off, you know. And I'm driving home and I'm like the elephant man. Oh, God, because everything was swollen, right? It all swelled up. But do you know something? When all the swelling went away, I could move my arm. I could do these ones and there's no pain, none. Now what I put it down to is that everything swelled up, and when it went back down, everything went back where it was supposed to go. All those pinched nerves, all that stuff, it all kind of found its way home where it needed to be. That's what I put it down to. But whenever I feel crook or anything like that, I try to go out and work the bees. And I've actually rung my beekeeping mate and I've asked him, can he take me out next week? And this will go. Like, I get a few bee stings into me, all this will go. I know it. I just have so much faith in working bees. But I don't recommend you do that, all right? You find out from your doctor whether you've got a bee sting reaction, anaphylactic problems with it. Like, if you're allergic to bees, by all means, do not do that. If you're allergic to being stung, do not do any of that. But even if you're not, do not do that, right? That's just what happened to me. Okay, I've said that enough. Okay, so the good news out of this, I've been rabbiting on now. I just wanted to tell you that I made it to 108 kilograms, and I'm stoked about that. And I want to try to keep that weight off now. I want to keep doing what I'm doing, which is I'm eating well, I'm resting well, and I'm exercising. And they're the three things you need. You need good habits with eating, good habits with your rest, so recovery, and good habits with your exercise. Those three things and you'll drop weight, no worries. All right, so let's keep that moving. And I'm going to keep into the walk, so I do around the block. You know, I have to go around the block, minimum. Now, the block's probably, what? It's probably 1 kilometre, right? Just going around this block is probably 1 kilometre. If I think about it, yeah, it's 1 kilometre. Right, it's 200 metres, 300 metres. So then it's 500 metres. It's actually more than that. 500 metres, then 200 metres. Sorry, 300 metres and 200 metres. So it's 1.5 kilometres just to walk around the block. That's enough, right? That'll get you going. Plus a flight of stairs. So there's another 0.5 kilometre. Well, I think we worked it out. It was the equivalent of 0.5 kilometre flight of stairs. No, 20 flights of stairs. 20 flights of stairs was the equivalent of the kilometre. That's what it was. 20 flights of stairs was the equivalent of the kilometre. Okay, I've got to get into it. I've got to wash the dishes. I've got to go up and see Brad. I've got to get myself moving. And I'll catch you on the next lifestyle video on diet, if you're following along. This is in the diet series. I've got one on how to save money, and I've been working on the budget car, getting rid of that expensive gas guzzling thing that you can't afford, that's dropping oil everywhere, or that's real flash and it's just sucking your bank account dry, and every time your bank manager goes, yeah, you're going to have to jump in the car to go somewhere, more money in my credit cards, you know. If you're living on credit cards, that series on my budget is going to help you if you get into it. But we got rid of all our credit cards, and let me recommend you check out that series on the budget. I talked to you about how to kill the credit card last week, and that video I think got posted. If it hasn't, it'll be posted by the end of the weekend. So yeah, I want to get into it, so I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.